welcome to my channel, Bloom in Wild Places. My name's Trisha, and I'm here to take you alongside my food addiction recovery. And I started Overeaters Anonymous 2.5 years ago. When I first came into the program, I was extremely broken, at my wits' end, feeling powerless. I was very overweight, and I just hated myself. I hated my body. I hated my life. And I was at a point of complete desperation. And so that desperation is what led me to finally try Overeaters Anonymous. And maybe that's your story today. Maybe you're broken. Maybe you're at a point where I just can't keep going like this. I want to encourage you that I was there. At my heaviest, I was a size 24. And so I have been able to find recovery and what we call food abstinence through Overeaters Anonymous. It has absolutely saved my life. And so just keep coming along this journey with me. I want to encourage you, if it could work for somebody like me, it can absolutely work for you. And the great thing is it's free, right? So it's available for no cost. And, if you're like me, you've probably sank a boatload of money into weight loss products and all the gimmicks and the doctors and the nutritionists and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the pills. So, hey, how about just doing something that's free, that's available all the time, that gives you great community support, and it works around your schedule. So, hey, sounds too good to be true. Well, I can say it works. So with that said, 2.5 years ago is when I came into the Overeaters Anonymous program. And at that time, I committed to my own personal abstinence. And that looks like for me, no sugar and no caffeine. And so it's really important to me to refrain from those food items because they are like heroin in my system. They are gateways to binge eating every single time. And maybe I can fool myself into thinking I could handle just one cookie or one slice of dessert, etc. But the next meal or an hour later, I'm hiding in the closet or I'm going to the store and I'm eating a whole entire cake. And so it's amazing the mass amounts of volume that I can pack into my body when I'm really motivated to be on a binger. And so again, if that describes you, you don't have to be a binge eater to follow along with me. But if you are a binge eater, I just want to encourage you that there is absolute freedom. For you, I have not binge ate in so long. It's been years, and it's such an incredible feeling to be, free of that. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about some personal reflection, and it's the 5 things that I think are really helping me to stay abstinent today. So 2.5 years later, and that's a big accomplishment for me. I just want to pause there because when I did diets in the past, man, it was a miracle if I could go a week without binge eating. I mean, that would have been like woohoo, right? Or every time I had success on a diet, and I had lots of success, I even had a diet plan where I lost 100 pounds on it. But I was celebrating every like 10-pound mile marker with just like as an incredible binge fest, like, woo, look at me. I got to the Wonderland. I'm 199. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to eat everything in the house. And that was just kind of the insanity I lived in with my food addiction. And then it seemed like the celebrations just kept picking up, like it wasn't just the mile markers. It was like, I had a good day at work. Let's celebrate with this. Yeah. So anyway, that said, let me get to the real stuff. Here's the 5 things that are keeping me abstinent today. So number 1, going to Overeaters Anonymous, or what we call OA meetings. And you can go in person. I don't. They just don't fit with my schedule. I'm a busy working woman. I was a single mom when I came into the program. My son is now 18, so different story. But anyway, at that time, just an in-person meeting was not practical to my life. And so I went on to online meetings. Now, if you go to the Overeaters Anonymous website, the great thing is it's easy to find a meeting, and they're available, I think, 24 hours a day because they're all around the world. And so even if, it's 2 a.m. in the United States, well, you can go to a meeting in England and we're right. So or somewhere else in the world. And it's pretty incredible. And it's awesome to just be part of a meeting where people are talking in really cool accents. But anyway, so meetings are important. And I just need to pause here because I know I'm talking to you about the 5 things, but it really drums down to 2 things, which is honesty and humility. And so these 5 things kind of help break that down into digestible things that actually work for me. And so for meetings, that's honesty. So I go to these meetings and I'm around other people that have my disease, and they're honestly sharing uh, their stories, things that I thought, I was the only one that did. And then I've learned through the OA, no, there's hundreds and thousands of people that do the exact same thing I do. And then I share at meetings. And I think that's really important too. Now, you don't have to just start off by sharing when you go to a meeting. When you're a newcomer, it's very intimidating. So, you just take slow steps at that. The first thing is just at least go to a meeting. But when I share and I just tell another person, here's how I'm doing, here's what I'm honestly struggling with, something about that just releases the food addiction from me, the stronghold of especially sugar. So as weird as it sounds, going to a meeting in itself is so powerful. And so I just I could not be abstinent without attending meetings. So I have to still continue with them this many years later. And I honestly think they're just going to be a lifelong story for me. So number 2 is food pictures. Now this was where, and I've shared this in my previous videos if you've seen them, food photos were where I struggled with the most. Oh my goodness. So that is when I use an app, I take a picture of everything I'm putting in my mouth, right? Like everything. If I'm going to eat it, I take a photo of it and I send it to my sponsor. And as I've shared before, I would rather have somebody watch me go to the bathroom than to see how I eat, because I was so terrified of the judgment. But again, this links back to honesty. I have to get real with one other person, and that person I choose is not my best friend, it's not my boyfriend, it's not a husband, it's not a family member, right? It's none of those people. I share my food photos with somebody in food addiction recovery that I can trust. And for me, that's a sponsor. Like, a sponsor should be my number one choice. But if you don't have a sponsor, find somebody strong in the program who's not full of insanity, right? Who's not going to judge your food photos, or when you send it to them, like try to move you to their diet plan. People who are new to OA, they're still, or even people who've been in OA for years who don't have strong recovery. I have just found, for me, they're not somebody that I can trust because they're not in a healthy place. So I'm looking for somebody who's healthy enough to take my food photos and just be neutral, because I'm not looking for them to be a nutritionist to me and to tell me how I should be eating or what I should be eating. It's genuinely just about the honesty. I just need somebody to see what I have on my plate and how much of it. And again, going back to honesty, that means if I go back for seconds, that's right, the camera comes back out and I'm snapping a photo of it. Now, 2.5 years later, I'm still taking daily photos of what I eat and sending it to my sponsor. And I'm telling you, the thing I hated the most is actually the thing I now love. And I know it's what's keeping me grounded. It's helping me to make abstinent food choices every single day, because I know there is somebody on the other line that cares about me, that is receiving that food photo. And honestly, I can't trust myself to care about myself all the time. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm in really deep depression. I just went through this where I really didn't care what I was eating. And so at that point, if I wasn't having an accountability partner, I probably would have been tempted to put foods on my plate that maybe shouldn't have been there, or up the quantities beyond what I needed, just because who cares, right? Nobody knows. And, like, I'll just deal with it later, the later that never comes. So anyway, that is such an important tool. And if you're not sending food photos, I just encourage you to have an open mind about it. I can't tell you enough. It has changed my life. It has helped me to find my abstinence, and that discomfort, that pain is so worth the freedom and recovery and the healing and the life that I have today. So it was worth it. Absolutely worth it. So the next part is plan of eating. So I have made videos about plan of eating before, Is really great about having resources for this. Now, OA does not have a diet. I found that really frustrating when I first came in, right? Because my real world experience was something like Weight Watchers or things like that, where you come in, you get a point system, right? And you have a group and you're sharing with the group. And so, anyway, that's what I thought Overeaters Anonymous was. I thought it was like a diet support group, but it's absolutely not. So, each person has their own unique food plan for what works best for them. So, for me, it's totally different. Um, Again, I've talked about my food triggers. I'm a compulsive overeater, so I have to have some guidelines. I can't just eat whatever I want, whenever I want. There has to absolutely be guardrails to protect me from me, because me and my food addiction, we are my worst enemies. And that hasn't changed even with recovery, and that's pretty much a lifelong sentence with food addiction. And so I accept that, and I know there has to be parameters. And one of the easiest food plans, if you don't even know where to start, is what they call the 301. So that's 3 meals a day, nothing in between, one day at a time. And, there's no rule about what goes on that plate. The rule is just that it's just 3 meals. So you don't go back for seconds, you don't go back for thirds, you don't eat a snack afterwards. What is your meal for that time is what you're eating. And that's so great, because when I first came into the program, I was what I would call a grazer, which meant I just compulsively ate all day long, but in pretty small portions when I wasn't binge eating. So, it was like a granola bar here or a bowl of cereal there, um, at first. And then it got worse and worse as time came on, especially at work. I don't know about you guys, but there's just things that are so stressful in my day-to-day life that food is just a natural part of that. And just really quick to share with you just a personal experience, but I'm a paralegal by trade, and I get some work stress, right? Because there's some deadlines and I make mistakes, and I got clients and my boss breathing down my neck. And so cereal was a go-to comfort food for me. It was almost like I couldn't work if I wasn't eating cereal. And it was so, like, such a revelation to me when I went through this really horrible personal experience. I won't share what that was, but it was really terrible. And my boss, who's a guy, like, he it was one of those things that, like, I probably would have got flowers over it, or a card or something, some kind of sympathy gift. But what I ended up getting when I came into work from my boss was, and I'm not joking, it was 3 Costco boxes of cereal. And it was his way of saying, like, hey, I'm sorry for what you're going through, and I know this will help you through it. Because at that time in my life, that's how I was getting through life. And I thought I was hiding it from everyone. In my insanity, I thought nobody saw uh, just how much I was, like, relying on food to get me through. But having my boss buy me 3 boxes in family size Costco boxes of cereal, that was like, wow. That was so embarrassing. And so anyway, that's my quick share on that. So plan of eating, and I think, what's the phrase? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So if you just have a goal, or if I just say, like, I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm not going to have caffeine, well, at some point that is not going to work. Willpower fails me every single time. So I've got to have a specific food plan. Besides the 301, OA has a really great brochure that you can find online. It's just called OA Dignity of Choice. It has different food plans in it that involved like a lot of weighing and measuring. So check that out. See if one of those is a viable option for you. I've tried them before. I've had success with them. It's not currently what my food plan looks like. So, let me share with you how I got my current plan of eating. Kind of funny, but artificial intelligence, you guys, ChatGPT. So with the oversight of my sponsor, I want to stress that, okay? Because we don't do things by ourselves. We get ourselves into trouble. So I went on to ChatGPT. I'm not making this up. I put this, like, long description in. I was like, I'm a 45-year-old woman who's moderately active. I have food addiction issues. I'm in recovery for binge eating. I'm a compulsive restrictor. I can't do anything that's remotely like a diet. Like I can't calorie count. And yet I'm going through perimenopause. So my body's going through all these changes, my metabolism slowing down. So help me to find a right plan of eating that's going to help me to stay healthy, um, but not shift into the world of dieting. And I was surprised that thing shot out. Well, I was like, that's a really good food plan. Except for, I want to put a caveat in, I have still residual insanity, right? Like this disease, it's a lifelong sentence. And in my mind, I thought I needed to reduce my fruit intake, like because of I'm gaining a little bit of extra midsection weight from the perimenopause. And so when it had me eating fruit on the plan, I was like, I challenged it back. I said, I don't think we need to have that fruit in the plan with the perimenopause. And much to my surprise, now this AI that has the wealth of the internet, right? All of the resources out there, it came back and it said, there are no studies that support that fruit intake is detrimental or that it causes excessive belly weight gain in perimenopause. See, and that's my insanity brain where I was like, no, this is the way it is. And here is this resource again with all these studies that are available online, all this available data, and it's saying, no, that's that's not real. And so, I took that food plan as it was written with the fruit in there, took it to my sponsor, and I was like, what do you think of this? And it was so affirming because she said, yeah, I think that's a great food plan for you. And so now that is what I'm following, and I'm just loving it. I'm having so much freedom, and yet I'm still enjoying foods that I eat. So anyway, such an important thing. If I didn't have a plan, then I would just be doing whatever, and I would just be justifying things because every day I still have insanity. I can't stress that enough. I'm so active in this program, and yet my disease, it gives me dementia just about food. Like I'll forget that I can't have caffeine or that I can't, that I shouldn't be eating certain foods. So my plan of eating has really been what has kept me strong in my abstinence and has prevented me from having relapse. So again, I just think it's been such a helpful tool, and I think you absolutely need to have one. And if you don't, go do some research and find out. And look at that brochure, the Dignity of Choice, because OA has some really great resources available because, hey, they've been doing this food addiction thing for decades, so they know a thing or two. Okay, so that leads me to another one, and that would be journaling. Okay, now, did that seem like a dramatic? I write for a living. I'm a paralegal. So the last thing I wanted to do was journal, right? Like I don't want to write. Like I write all day long. I'm exhausting my brain power. I don't want to journal. And so this is one of those tools in OA I was so resistant to. I was like, absolutely no way. That is not for me. But let me tell you, you will learn as you're going through this program and the steps that resentments are what push you to food. Like if I'm mad about something, I don't do the healthy thing. Like instinctively, I don't go tackle the issue or share my feelings or have to actually deal with it. I want to numb. That's how I deal with discomfort in my life. When somebody disappoints me, when they're not doing what they should be doing, the first instinct I have is numb. And I can't do that anymore. And being abstinent and not having sugar, for example, man, I've lost my numbing agent. And so I have to have a new way of dealing with that. And so journaling doesn't have to be long at all. And I just write out something just when I'm in a mood and somebody has made me mad. And if I'm being honest, that's like almost every day. I mean, I wish I was a better person, but I'm just being real with you guys. I can probably find something to get mad about every single day, but writing it down gives me a neutral perspective. It really takes the power out of it, and it just gets that off my shoulders. And now something as simple as that, I just don't need to go to the food. Now, I still don't love to write. And so here is my new current trick, which is just working wonders for me. I use this app. They have a free version. I pay for the premium version, for lack of better words. It's $20 a year, and the app is called, oh goodness, I forgot what it's called. But anyway, I'm going to put the link right here. This is where I'm going to put a little video. But or a little link to the Play Store. But I love this app, you guys, because I put in my journal entry and it spits out an AI response back to me. And they're profound. They tell me what, you know, the trends that it's seeing. It keeps track of like every Sunday. It gives you a recap of your week, of a trend that it's seeing. And it points things out to me that I don't even see in myself. For example, one thing it noted was that when I'm going through a really stressful time in my life, I am looking for things to control, and I didn't notice it. And I used to do that with food, right? Or most importantly with dieting. Dieting was my main source of feeling like I was in control of my life. But I still have tendencies now, not through dieting, just through other ways. And so this app has helped me to identify like, hey, you're doing that. You're trying to control. So I can be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna let go of that now. So I really love it, and I hope you'll check it out. And if not, go get a book, whatever works for you. Just find some way to write your feelings out. It is absolutely why I am abstinent today. Okay, so number 5 on the list, and it's the most important, even though I said there's really no particular order. But, I was saving this one at the end for you because you probably thought it was going to be silly. But I'm telling you, it's the most important, and that is prayer. Prayer. Every single day, I pray to my higher power, who is God for me. And I tell God, I can't do this. I need your help today. I need help with what I'm going to eat. I need help with how I think. I need help with being of service to other people. I need help getting out of my selfishness. I just need help, right? Anything that I'm struggling with, it can just be a quick prayer. But that is what is keeping me absent, because every single day I throw up my white flag and say, I can't do this. And going back to the honesty and the humility, this is humility. And a lot of my stumbling blocks to finding healing before was all the pride that I could do it my way, all by myself. I had all the answers. And the 12 steps have really put me in my place, given me a perspective of humility of I can't do this. I cannot. And maybe that's you. Have you tried to manage your food addiction for years or decades, and you're here in desperation and realizing I can't do this? Yeah, because you can't. And that's okay. I can't do it either. But God can. Your higher power can. And so prayer is just how you ask for help. It's that easy. And, it's pretty amazing to think that these 5 simple things are what are keeping me out of the sugar today. But if you are a food addict, you know the power of sugar and that calling and that stronghold of your life. And so if you will just prayerfully consider picking up one of these things at a time until you can get to all 5, then I am telling you, abstinence is just going to find you. So that's it. That's how I'm abstinent today. I hope this video was encouraging to you, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care. Love you. Have a good day. Bye.